everyone. So I'm Rachel. I am This Side of West's poetry editor for this year. And today I have a really special guest, Shaelin Bishop, who's going to talk to us about UVic writing. So Shaelin graduated from UVic's writing program in 2019, where she concentrated in fiction and screenwriting. Her stories have appeared in The Fiddlehead, The Puritan, Prism International, Room, and The New Quarterly. She was the runner-up in Manola Review's 2019 fiction contest. Since graduating, she's been working on a novel about sisterhood and folklore. Really excited to have you, Shaelin, and I'm really excited to talk about writing and UVic writing and all the stuff you've been up to since graduating.
I am also. I miss UVic writing, so I'm very excited to chat about it too.
So we can dive right into it. So my first question for you is, how has writing changed for you pre versus post graduation?
Honestly, like quite a lot of ways. I'd say some good, some bad, a lot just kind of neutral. One of the main ones is I've just been writing like a lot more long-term or long-form stuff. When I was in the program, everything I wrote was really short, like short stories, short pieces, because everything was to submit, and I didn't really have the time to focus on like a whole novel. But since graduating, I've been spending a lot more time writing like 2-3 year long projects and sinking my time into novels. So that's been a nice change. It's like something I didn't really have the opportunity to do as much. And then I think like one of the main ones for me is just that my writing process is way less communal, which is something that I miss actually. When I was in the program, everything was super communal. Like I was hanging out with other writers all the time. We were talking about what we were writing. We were workshopping together. Everything was like writing a story was like, it's like, what's the saying? Like it takes a village to raise a child. Like it took a writing cohort to write one of my stories. And now I kind of just do it completely on my own, very solitary. Like I still have people that I workshop with and go to for feedback, but that's not until a bit later in the process. So it's very different. It's good to like have more independence and not kind of feel like you need a bunch of people around you to like be your writing cheerleaders, but it's definitely something that I do miss. And then I think the other main one is just like I going completely at my own pace for everything, because before like everything was more around like deadlines, and I didn't really mind that. I did like the motivation that having like class deadlines gave me. So now being completely on my own schedule, like it takes more self-motivation, but it also kind of does give you like more flexibility, which is nice. That one's like a double-edged sword.
So for the second question, what does your body of work look like now that you've graduated? So like, are you working on anything currently, any publications?
Yeah, so I like when I graduated, I had about maybe like between 2/3 and 3/4 of a short story collection done. And since I graduated, I finished up that entire collection. So I have like a full collection done and then like a couple stories beyond that as well. And then I'm also working on 2 novels. One is at like the very beginning, first draft stage, and then the other is one that I started in the program in Bill Gaston's 4th year writing workshop. So I wrote like the first 20,000 words of that at UVic. And then since graduating, I finished the first draft and I've been working on editing that. So that's like in a later stage. And then I'm kind of just always like working on short stories and submitting them. I'm very into submitting my work. So I like to always be like trying to write new things to submit, especially with a novel. You don't get that kind of gratification until like way later in the process. So it's nice to have like little short projects to work on to kind of break it up.
That's really exciting. As for my third question for you, so what are your writing career plans now that you've graduated and left UVic's writing program?
The old career question, the question that probably haunts everyone in a writing degree while they're in it. So since graduating, I have a job in marketing at the moment. It's something that I had lined up kind of before I graduated, so it's nice to like have that security. I eventually hope to go to grad school. I kind of postponed that because of COVID. Originally, I wanted to start grad school next year, but that's kind of like on hold for the moment, just because I feel like going to grad school during a pandemic wouldn't be the most amazing experience. But eventually that's something I want to do and hopefully get into teaching. And then for kind of like my writing career, I am kind of like hoping that the prospect of publishing a book is getting closer for me. So like I said, I had that novel I started writing in the program and I've been editing it. So my hope is that I'll be able to start querying that next year sometime. I have no idea if that's a realistic um, deadline or not. It could be completely unrealistic or it could be very possible. But hopefully I will kind of start working on that. And then I also have like that finished collection in the drawer. So hopefully like starting an actual career as a writer is in the semi-near future.
Okay, so my last question for you is if you had any advice for incoming UVic writing students or current UVic writing students, what would that advice be?
I have two pieces of advice that I would say to people who are coming into the program or who are currently in it. The first one is something that probably a lot of people are already doing, and it's just to like put a lot of effort into connecting with your peers. I'm so thankful that when I left the program, I was really close with so many people from my cohort. And so we can still exchange work. We still run workshops together. And also like we're really close friends. And, you know, doing a degree in writing, like obviously like you gain a lot of skills and stuff, but one of the best things you get away from that is a group of writers who like can be your writing partners basically for life. Like if you talk to some of your profs, I bet a lot of them will say that they still go to people that they went to school with for edits and they still exchange work with them. So that's like, those are like lifelong friendships that you can build that are so valuable. And then my second one is to not self-reject your work. A lot of people start submitting their work while they're in the program, which is great, but some people are really nervous to start. And I relate to that. I was nervous to start submitting my work, but definitely don't self-reject because you feel like you're not ready or you're not good enough yet. There are so many people who, while they're undergrads, publish stories in like, you know, the Malahat and stuff. Like it's totally possible. I know tons of people who have done it. So don't worry about like, I know like you might feel like a tiny terrified baby who doesn't know what you're doing. I certainly still feel like that. But magazines are just going to read the work. They don't know how scared you are. So yeah, don't self-reject and just submit your work. And I think of everyone I know, everyone who just kind of consistently kept submitting their work have all been published multiple times. So do it, be brave, and you will get published.
Right, that was awesome. Well, thank you, Shaelin, for coming and talking to me about UVic writing. I'm really excited to hear about all of the things that you've been doing since graduating. I really appreciate you taking your time to come chat with me for this side of West.
Oh, thank you for having me.